A very good evening to you and welcome to Idea TV News at 9. I am Cynthia Bassi. We begin with the headlines. Senate defends new tax law, says reforms not meant to hurt Nigerians. Governor Eno expands youth empowerment, raises student bursary to 50,000 naira. Sudan and South Sudan prepare to restart HEGLIG oil operations. And Mali and Burkina Faso restrict entry for U.S. nationals. And away from Africa, protests spread across Iran over collapsing economy. And in business, global coal production set to decline by 2030. In health, United States, Ivory Coast seal $500 million health financing deal. And in sport, Lagos launches mini football pitch at SURA underbridge. And now the news in full. Nigeria's Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele has dismissed claims that the newly enacted tax laws are designed to impose hardship on citizens. Speaking in a statement issued in Abuja on Wednesday, he said the reforms are people-centered and aimed at strengthening Nigeria's fiscal system while improving living standards. Bamidele explained that the 2025 Tax Reforms Act seeks to harmonize the tax system and multiple taxation from January 1, 2026, and expand government revenue for infrastructure and long-term growth. He said the law was passed after extensive consultations and is intended to protect low-income Nigerians while modernizing tax administration. He also rejected claims that the National Assembly merely endorses executive decisions, reaffirming its oversight role and support for reforms under President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. The president, meanwhile, says the new tax law will proceed as scheduled, describing them as a major step toward a fairer and more competitive economic system. Moving on, Akwa Ibom State Governor Omo Eno today announced an expansion of youth empowerment programs, including skills training for 3,100 young people and a 150% increase in its students' bursaries, now raised to 50,000 naira from January 2026. The governor announced at a youth endorsement rally in Uyo, where participants backed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and Governor Eno ahead of the 2027 elections. He said beneficiaries will be trained at the Dakada Skills Acquisition Center, with each local government nominating 100 participants, jointly funded by state and local councils. Governor Eno said the measures are aimed at strengthening human capital development and youth productivity, adding that his administration is also building youth-friendly centers with internet and solar power and expanding aviation training through Ibom Air. Youth leaders at the event said their endorsement was based on ongoing reforms and people-focused governance at both the federal and state levels. In another news, activity has been reported at the HEGLIG oil field on the South Sudan border following a trilateral agreement signed on December 10 between South Sudan, the Sudanese army, and the paramilitary rapid support forces. Technical teams have been deployed to prepare for a possible restart of production, though no timeline has been set. The agreement comes amid ongoing security concerns that have disrupted oil infrastructure since the outbreak of war in Sudan in 2023. Sudan handles the export of South Sudanese crude, while South Sudan remains heavily reliant on oil revenues, which account for more than 90% of its export earnings. Efforts to resume operations also face broader economic pressures. In November 2025, South Sudan sought a $2.5 billion oil-backed loan from China and India to support public finances weakened by years of borrowing, highlighting the critical role of oil in both countries' economies. Mali and Burkina Faso have announced travel restrictions on American citizens in response to the United States including both countries on its no-entry list. The move comes after President Donald Trump expanded the U.S. travel ban on the 17th of December, targeting nearly 40 countries based on nationality. The two West African nations say they are applying equivalent measures on U.S. nationals, mirroring the conditions the United States imposed on their citizens. Both governments expressed regret over the U.S. decision, noting it was made without prior consultation. Mali and Burkina Faso are part of a regional confederation with Niger, which is yet to announce official countermeasures. The U.S. travel restriction also affect other African nations, including Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and Senegal. We're now going on a quick break. The news continues when we are back.
Number 9. Hyper-personalized AI tutors and education tech. Education is going through a shift similar to what we've seen in entertainment and shopping. Hyper-personalization. Instead of one-size-fits-all lessons, AI tutors adapt in real time to how a student learns. Khan Academy launched Khanmigo, an AI-powered guide that helps students with math, science, and coding, while also assisting teachers with lesson planning. Duolingo uses AI to personalize language lessons, serving over 80 million monthly users worldwide. Global Market Insights projects that the AI and education market could surpass $30 billion by 2032. By 2026, AI tutors may become as common as textbooks once were.
Good to know you're still there. This is Idea TV News at 9. Away from Africa, Iran is facing mounting protests as citizens voice anger over the country's collapsing economy. Demonstrations that began with Tehran shopkeepers over the falling value of the national currency have now spread to several cities and universities. Protesters have been seen chanting slogans against the government, including "death to the dictator," signaling growing frustration with the regime itself. Authorities have made conciliatory gestures in an attempt to calm tensions. The unrest comes amid long-standing economic pressures from international sanctions linked to Iran's nuclear program and the ongoing impact of previous crackdowns on dissent, including protests following the 2009 election and the 2022 demonstrations over the death of a woman in police custody for improperly wearing a headscarf. And now in business news, global coal production is expected to enter a structural decline after reaching record levels. According to the International Energy Agency, output hit an all-time high of 9.1 billion tons in 2024, led by China. India and Indonesia, with China alone producing over 4.6 billion tons to support its power grid. The agency predicts that 2025 will mark the industry's peak, with production plateauing at just over 9.1 billion tons before a gradual fall. Cooling demand and lower prices are affecting major exporters, particularly in Indonesia and Australia, contributing to the expected slowdown. The 2030 global coal output is forecast to drop by around 500 million tons, led by reductions in China, the European Union, and the United States. While India is likely to see modest growth, it will not offset the global decline as the world shifts towards clearer energy sources. And now in health news, the United States and Ivory Coast have reached a $500 million health financing agreement aimed at tackling HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis. The deal reflects Washington's shifting approach to foreign assistance, moving away from traditional aid. Under the agreement, Ivory Coast must mobilize its own domestic resources in order to access United States funding, making the partnership a co-investment rather than a donation-based program. The move comes as President Donald Trump reshapes United States foreign aid policy, urging global aid agencies to adapt or scale down, even as his administration recently pledged $2 billion to the United Nations humanitarian efforts, far below previous American contributions. And finally, in sport, the Lagos State government, in partnership with technology firm Techno, has unveiled the Sanwo-Olu Mini Stadium and 8-a-side AstroTurf football pitch at SURA Underbridge on Lagos Island. The facility is part of Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu's drive to engage youths and develop sports across the state. Speaking at the launch, Lagos State Sports Commission Director General Lekan Fatodu described the stadium as a boost for talent development and community empowerment. He revealed that 8 similar mini stadia are being constructed across Lagos to bring modern sporting facilities closer to local communities. Techno's marketing manager Olumide Yomi Omolayo said the company's involvement reflects a long-term vision for African football, supporting both current and future players. The Commissioner for Youth and Social Development, Mobolaji Ogunlende, added that such collaborations are key to keeping youths productively engaged. And that's all we have for you on Idea TV News at 9. But before we go, here's a rundown of the headlines. We brought you news that the Senate defends new tax law says reforms not meant to hurt Nigerians. And Governor Eno expands youth empowerment, raises student bursary to 50,000 naira. South Sudan prepared to restart HEGLIG oil operations. Mali and Burkina Faso restrict entry for U.S. nationals. Away from Africa, protests spread across Iran over collapsing economy, and in business, global coal production set to decline by 2030. In health, United States Ivory Coast sealed $500 million health financing deal. And finally, in sport, Lagos launches mini football pitch at SURA under bridge. Now, do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms at Idea Television. I am Cynthia Bassi. Thank you for your time.